Okay, welcome back. A few weeks ago, we had some unseasonably warm weather. It was in the mid 80s for about a week, which is really unusual for this time of year. But it did happen, and it got me thinking about summertime carry. And what do people normally carry? Well, usually in the winter weather, we got a lot more layers, so it's easier to, one, comfortably carry your bigger and heavier sidearms, and also easier to conceal them. In the summertime, as the heat goes up, the layers go down, and maybe it's not quite as easy or as comfortable to carry something quite so bulky. So the question is, what do we carry in the summertime? And a lot of us will still carry a 9mm. Here's one example of the 9 that I do carry. It's a Ruger LC9S. Probably the smallest 9mm I carry. It's extremely thin, extremely lightweight, but it's also only, I believe it's a 7+1 or 6+1 9mm. So it's very compact, very narrow, but also not a lot of rounds in this particular one. So in the summertime, maybe I'll carry that, or maybe I'll go to something even smaller, or at least something that's maybe lighter. And for a lot of people, they already don't want to carry a 9mm. Maybe they're a smaller build already, they're very recoil sensitive, or just they don't want to carry that. They want to carry a 380, and that's fine. So down here I have a Glock 42, which is a 380, and the very small Ruger LCP2, which is also 380. The Glock has a 3.25-inch barrel. The Ruger LCP2 has a 2.75-inch barrel. And just for comparison, the Ruger LC9S has a 3.1-inch barrel. So actually the length of barrel here is between these two, but this is a 9mm, these two are 380. So again, in comparison, the Glock and the Ruger LC9S are very, very similar in size. If you look at the actual size comparison, very, very similar. Height, if we go back to back here, height, very, very similar in size overall. But the LC9S is much smaller. Excuse me, the LCP2 is much smaller, as you can see here when you put them back to back. They are much smaller, easier to slip into a pocket or what have you. So the question is, we've seen some very effective, if you watched some of my earlier videos, some very effective cheap 9mm, and there's other rounds, the 9mm rounds I'll be testing as we get to them, the more higher priced, more quote-unquote quality, which may or may not be true, but at least the higher priced 9mm self-defense rounds that are out there. But even in the cheap offerings, there's some very effective 9mm rounds. So the question is, does the 380 round, or are the 380 rounds that are available, the standard hollow points, are they any good? Are they effective? So we'll be testing some 380 rounds here, the standard ones, and depending upon how those do, maybe we'll do some non-traditional 380 rounds as well. So stay tuned, and we're going to start doing some 380 testing. Okay, back at the range with two freshly melted homemade ballistic gel blocks. And I got a gallon of water backstop, and behind that a multi-layer fabric barrier to catch any strays that might go all the way through. Today we'll be doing some 380 testing. Today we have the Ruger LCP2 on the left with a 2.75-inch barrel, and on the right a Glock 42 with a 3.25-inch barrel. So we'll test these out using some self-defense rounds to see if the barrel length makes a difference in the depth penetration and the expansion. Today we're going to be testing, we've got the X-Def 380 rounds, Gold Dot, Sig V crowns, and Proximity Critical Defense. First up is the X-Def rounds. Ruger LCP2 at 10 to 12 feet. Okay, I flipped the blocks up. As you can see, it entered here pretty low in the block. And I went down here, went out almost to the bottom. It grazed the table here, at least the gel did. And the bullet stopped right here. We'll measure that in just a second. All right, the measurement there is right about 13 inches. We'll dig that out of there. Okay, there's the X-Def through the 2.75 inch Ruger LCP2. We had a little bit of expansion there. Looks like a couple of petals peeled back. And Glock 42 with the X-Def. All right, I flipped the block up on its side so we can see this one. The Glock I hit right here, and it went in here. It stopped right there at the edge of the first block. So we'll measure that and we'll dig that out. Okay, that first block is about 9 3/4 inches long, the total block. And that bullet got right to about 9.5 inches deep in that gel block. I'll dig her out. All right, here's the, again, the X-Def. The one on the left was from the Ruger. Made it to about 13 inches. Not much expansion. The one on the right, this is out of the Glock 42 with the 3 1/4 inch barrel. That made it to good expansion, but only made it to 9.5 inches in the gel. So, there we go. Okay, first up we have the X-Def by Freedom Munitions. This is their house-made self-defense line of ammunition. Again, it's a 95 grain, I believe 95 grain 380. And they sell them in 50 round boxes, and I believe right now it's $22.40 or $23 a box on their Freedom Munitions website. And then of course you got to have shipping if you don't qualify for free shipping and tax, etc. So the exact per round count, I'm not sure. I bought these a while back as a inclusion with several other boxes I was buying of different types of ammo from their site. So as you saw in the video, the Ruger LCP2, the round made it to about 13.5 inches, but we did not have full expansion. Looks like we only had 2 petals pull back, and that was all we got on that one. So decent penetration, just not very good expansion. And then out of the Glock 42, we had really good expansion, as you can see. All the petals mushroom back there, but only 9.5 inches of penetration on that one. So, and I think that's the problem with a lot of these 380s, is that it's one or the other. I don't see a lot of good rounds doing both. So it's good expansion, not very deep penetration, or good penetration, but basically you're looking like an FMJ. So we'll measure these up and kind of go from there. Okay, it's supposed to be 95 grains. Let's see. First one. Again, there's still a little schmutz on these, a little gel, maybe a little denim in there. So that one weighs just over 95 grains. So no problem, nothing lost on that one. This one, same thing, nothing lost on that one. I don't know if these are, they do almost look like they're bonded bullets. So they don't look like there's going to be any potential jacket separation on there. But, so again, decent expansion. We can measure that up too here. We'll take this out of here. So for this one, again, we don't have much expansion here. Looks like it's going to be 0.41, 0.42, and this one's right at 0.35. That's right at, there's no expansion on that particular way, so a little expansion, but not a lot. And then out of the Glock 42, much better expansion. We have 0.54 inches, 0.53 inches, and 0.54 inches. So good expansion, not a lot of penetration. Again, here's the X-Def. Here's what they look like. They're brass cased, in case you're wondering. There's the hollow point on there. Hopefully it'll focus on the hollow point. There you go. That's what they look like. Here is the head stamp on there. So again, 95 grain hollow point. Again, decent penetration with the shorter barrel, but not real good expansion. Not very much penetration, but decent expansion through the longer Glock 42 barrel. So that's what we got with this one. I got a couple of more 380 tests coming, and stay tuned for those.